One and all to the K.O.E. Nation, folks. I am your King of Extreme Phil, K.O.E. You can find me at K.O.E. Nation on YouTube, K.O.E. Nation on TikTok, K.O.E. Nation on Twitch, and we have some amazing K.O.E. content coming to you from one of the many friends and denizens of the K.O.E. Nation. So, folks, without further ado, let's not keep you waiting any longer.
All right, we are back. Once again, better late than never, folks. It's been a hot minute since we last got to dip into this bad
hot
bitch.
minute indeed, baby.
But we're back.
I'm
with
thirsty.
Heaven's Door.
Can you tell?
I would love a drink. It's been a long start to the week on this blistery Monday. So we are going to get into the next in the line of the Heaven's Door offerings. The principal line, if you will. We've got the American Bourbon Whiskey, which you've just recently watched that video, and if you haven't, what the fuck are you doing here? We've got the one we'll be getting into tonight, the Double Barrel, right there in the middle. Yes, Double Barrel Whiskey. And then, at some point soon, watch out this side for the rye. But tonight, we are getting into the Double Barrel Whiskey. Now, neither of us have had this yet, and before, I feel like it's only appropriate because I have not dipped into this bottle since we did the review, and it's been a little bit, so I wanted to revisit it real quick.
Okay, let me grab mine.
I think it's only fair
So,
to the original. Yes.
straight bourbon.
Yeah, it's got a very familiar nose in terms of bourbon. A little bit of sweet heat maybe, but nice and oaky. Nothing
Definitely
fancy on the nose.
Vanilla.
Oh, very vanilla forward on the flavor.
Oh, yeah.
And super oaky, but in a really
Very
good way.
bourbon. Very standard bourbon. Really good.
Yeah, like, you can't really go wrong. Like, this is kind of what... if you want to give somebody a really good example of what bourbon is, that's it right there. Like, that is bourbon to a T. And it's not even from Kentucky.
On the money.
Those of you that do not know, Heaven's Door is from Nashville, Tennessee. And in honor of that, where my Nashville Country Music Hall of Fame hat. That is really good, though. You really can't go wrong with this one. I know people are skeptical because it's not a Kentucky product, but it's really nice. It's a really, really solid bourbon. But let's see how its slightly different counterpart stacks up.
So this technically isn't a bourbon, is kind of what we're finding out.
I didn't realize that until just tonight. Now,
it literally says Double Barrel Whiskey.
Yeah, this says Double Barrel Whiskey, and nowhere on the bottle does it say bourbon. This is a 50%, 100 proof, whereas the straight bourbon whiskey is 46 and 92 proof. So,
do you think it's the mash bill? Because the proof's high enough.
Well,
I'm guessing it's the mash bill.
So in the back of this nifty sampler, the straight bourbon whiskey description is aged in new American oak barrels for a smooth blend with notes of vanilla and baked bread layered over rich toasted oak. Boy, we nailed that. And the double barrel whiskey, complexity of secondary aging, comprised of a unique blend of 3 different whiskeys. The finishing process utilizes hand-toasted new American oak barrels for a secondary aging worthy of another year's wait. So this is more of a blend, which is why it's just...
So it's a blend,
whiskey.
And they did not specifically say they were new American in the original. Like, it says it's a double barrel, so did they blend them together in one barrel and then move them to new oak?
Well, that is a good question. It said the finishing process utilizes hand-toasted new American oak barrels for secondary aging. So yeah, it doesn't really...
Because folks, to be bourbon, it has to be new American casks. It has to be over 40% alcohol by volume. Yeah, like there's specific rules to this. So, and then it's what 51% corn. Am I off?
Yeah, I believe
Something like
Yep,
that.
51. So
like,
yeah, I guess
they broke one of the rules. So
they broke
can't
one of the
call this
first rules of
bourbon.
Fight Club.
Yeah, they can't call it bourbon.
And there are still people out there that think bourbon can only come from Kentucky, which is not the case. Obviously, this is a Kentucky neighbor coming from Tennessee, but as long as the mash bill fits and the proof is right, all American whiskey can be bourbon. It just has to meet the right requirements. All bourbon is whiskey, not all whiskey is bourbon.
Yeah, exactly. Most Tennessee whiskey can be classified as bourbon.
Specifically Jack Daniels, but that's neither here.
Are you gonna appeal the? I know people haven't seen the court case yet. We did have a court case with the jury.
Yeah,
we'll get to that video eventually.
There will be an appeal because it was kind of it was kind of like a late midnight style shotgun wedding scenario, trial by shotgun type of thing. And I wasn't really prepared because, these ambush things that K.O.E. likes to do, it's the only way he can win an argument because that's his style. I still presented a better case, but ultimately biases and under the table handshakes with $100 bills gave him a different outcome than I anticipated.
Anyway, let's get on to this bottle.
Yeah, it's not like I'm sore about this or anything, but this is a bourbon. Could have been, but blended. So now it is an American whiskey. We are not going to call this bourbon for the remainder of the review. So it is nice in this triple pack. You've got a bourbon, you've got a blended American whiskey, and then there is a rye. So you do kind of go across the board with this stuff. Ready? Are you ready for the cork?
Three, two, one.
Ooh,
that's pretty good.
Not bad at all. And these are real corks, which is nice. And these little 200 milliliter bottles are just fantastic. I really like these.
All right.
They present really nicely in the front row of your shelf because they get a little deep.
It's nice to put them in front of your ugly bottles.
Yes. And these are actually pretty handsome bottles. I really do like the design.
All right, the nose right away. I do get it. It's kind of rye-ish.
I was gonna say, I wonder immediately, are these the blends? Are we looking at the two right here?
Maybe
that were, composed to make this.
I get it's not like heavy mouthwash, but it's kind of that mouthwash smell.
I would never guess just on the smell alone that this is 100 proof.
It's sweet. It's sweet and minty.
It is. It's a sweet mint. You're right. You're right. Mouthwash. Not like a Listerine, but more like a Scope. Listerine's a lot more harsh. This is very inviting. This definitely wouldn't be Phil's favorite just based off the smell alone because of the mint.
Yeah, but for sure.
I really like it. The nose is pretty nice. I'll be honest. This has a less intimidating nose than the 46% ABV bourbon, and it's higher at 50.
You get in a little deeper on that nose and do it so lightly, you get a little caramel.
Okay, let's see. Okay, yeah, there's a thick sweetness there. It's not molasses, so yeah, caramel would be... Yeah, you're right, it's there. It is there. Buried underneath the mint.
And it's got
maybe
legs.
If it breathes a little bit.
Look at that. It's got legs, baby.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember the other one having nice legs, too. This is no different.
All right.
Very nice. Yeah, I'm ready. Cheers. Oh, there's a caramel. But the mint is on top of it. Oh, wow. That finish. Raspberries.
Yeah, it's fruity. I don't get raspberries. It's fruity, though. I get the mint. I don't get so much. There's a little oak on the back end, but it's not heavy.
This is going to be an experiment for another time, but once we've had all three of these open, I think I'm going to try this side by side with the bourbon and the rye blended together, because I think that's exactly what we're looking at here. 'Cause that reminds me so much of a bourbon on the front, but the finish is a lot more reminiscent of a rye.
The mint comes through too much for me.
I'm a fan of mint. I like it, but it's definitely going to be overpowered.
I think it's getting in the way, though. There's so much more here.
I agree. I think it's just a little too much mint. But, I mean, it's very pleasant. It's very refreshing.
Because I'm a...
Right with a drop.
Yep. Oop. A little too much there. Just need a drop or two.
There we go. Yeah.
Trying not to spill water all over my electronics here.
Doesn't really change the nose. Yeah.
No.
A little more grassy, maybe a little more lemony. Yeah, I think there's a rye in this for sure.
Okay, that did change it. There we go. That's better. That's better. Okay.
It did dilute the mint.
What is this? Now you mentioned lemongrass on the. You mentioned like lemongrass on the nose.
Yeah.
It
reminds me.
The mint goes away. The fruit starts coming out. It's like a tart, like more of a like a tarty fruit to me.
A raspberry?
No, more tart. Like a what are those trees?
Blackberry?
No. There's a berry tree. The fuck are those called?
I know what you're talking about. Damn.
They're in bushes. They're in trees.
Yeah. Not a cranberry.
No. Mulberry.
Mulberry. There you go.
I get mulberry. Like mulberry has that mint flavor already, like especially when they're like the lighter color, the greener and the whiter ones, and when you get the darker ones, you get the more deep fruits and the more raspberry flavors out of a mulberry. This to me is like a mix of mulberries. If you like mashed them together, you get the tart and you get the sweet. You get the good mix. I love it with a dab of water. This is good.
Yeah, this is really good. Cut just slightly. I said lemongrass because the first thing that came to mind was.
I get the lemongrass for sure.
That's why I'm like.
It's on the nose big time.
Yeah, something about this just screams bullet rye to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm betting that these are very close. These two here, the bourbon and the rye, are very close to what this blend is. Very interesting. I'm a fan. It's a lot more interesting than the bourbon.
Exactly. So that's what's kind of cool about this. So this is not a bourbon. This is a double oak whiskey. And it's more complex and kind of fun to play with. Now, I think this would make a really fucking great old fashioned.
Yeah, this would. Just a little more taste.
You mix that with like the orange peel with that already kind of like tart fruitiness in there. I think it would just open it up a lot more. I think as an old fashioned, this would be a go-to for an old fashioned. This would be fantastic.
I think you're onto something there. This would cocktail pretty nicely. So, on that regard, we're going to grade this on a few different scales. Now, it's not bourbon, so we're going to grade this as a whiskey, obviously, as a blended whiskey, since it is technically a blend, as a Cascade Spirit, its shelving, and another question. So, let us start off. Well, let's start with blended whiskey, because this covers a lot of ground. We're talking blended Scotches, blended Irish, blended bourbon, blended American. So, where would you rank this as a blended whiskey?
As a blended whiskey, I'm gonna say, this is really like, because I like the natural flavor of bourbons and like good. I'm gonna give this 4 stars as a blended.
Wow.
We've had a lot of blended whiskeys, like TX, for example. Like it serves its purpose, It's really hard to cocktail it though because it's so specific. This isn't specific. Like as a blended whiskey, you can do whatever the fuck you want with this. This is actually fucking fantastic as a blended whiskey.
I didn't mention before, but we do grade on a 1 to 5 star scale here at the KOE Nation. 1 meaning you can pass this one by. 5 meaning you must try this whiskey. I was actually going to go a little bit lower, but you're right. It's more interesting. You could do a little bit more with this. It would present some really nice cocktails. It's not basic bitch at all. But I'm going to go 3 as a blended whiskey because I've had some really incredible blended whiskeys that just didn't deserve being as good as they are. And I think they've got something here. They just need to tweak it just a little bit because I usually don't like to have to add water to make it more interesting, and I think that is kind of a must.
It was too
minty. It's a must with this one. So I'm going to go 3 as a blended. Now, as a whiskey, I'm going to be a little bit more generous, and I'm going to go 3.75 easily. I could almost go 4 because this is right up my alley, but I know this is not going to be exactly everybody's cup of tea with the mint, so I'll be more honest, 3.75.
I'm right there with you for many of those reasons. Unless you okay, I'll go 3.75 because if you don't know to like tamper this down a little bit. So no, as a whiskey, I'll agree with you at 3.75 because if you don't know how to tame this down, I could see how a lot of people would get that mint like you mentioned right away.
Yeah.
Phil's not gonna like this. Just because of the mint right away. But when you do the dab of water, wow, it opens up. So
this one would go on ice.
Yeah, some people wouldn't get this right away, but on ice, again, cocktailing. I think this is a fucking amazing cocktail whiskey. Personally.
Yeah, I got to agree. There's no age statement on this, so it does make it difficult.
I did look it up, 6 years minimum.
6-year minimum. Okay.
Let me pull back up what they have on Heaven's Door.
Yeah, because that does make a difference. I would have guessed a minimum of 4, but actually that's a little more impressive with 6 years.
So here's what they say on their website:
Okay.
Double barrel whiskey, placing our already 6-year whiskey in an alligator charred New American oak. Deepens the color and fills our whiskey with flavors of dark toasted vanilla, which we didn't quite get that.
Not a ton of vanilla. No, I didn't.
The finish product come out so smooth we increase the bottling proof to 100. It doesn't say their mash bill. It just says 6 years. The nose, they claim maple with milled grains and light nuttiness. I don't know if I get the maple. I get the grains. I get the nuttiness.
See the maple, not so much the nutty. Yeah, because there was a sweetness there on the nose.
Yeah,
you were thinking caramel.
Dried berries. We both talked about the fruitiness. Vanilla custard. What the fuck is vanilla custard?
Ooh, okay. I could see that. Hang on. Yeah.
What is a vanilla custard?
Are they kind of like
the frozen fucking food?
Well, okay, so if you go to like McDonald's, you get like a holiday pie that's filled with vanilla custard. So it's kind of like a pudding, but it's more like a cross between pudding and yogurt. And I can definitely see it, and I think that's why I like that sweetness so much. Yeah, I can see that. Okay. Okay.
It does mention vanilla bean, apricot. I definitely. when I hear apricot, I definitely get that. Cream, caramel, coconut backed by orange oils and cocoa. Maybe that's why I'm like feeling the fucking the orange peel want. Like I want to add more.
Okay.
Butterscotch, which I kind of get. Like after it says that, yeah. Woody overtones. There is a little oak on the back end. It's nothing major though. So they're not too far off on their description. There's a few things.
I think they've got a good blend here, and
It is.
For being minimum 6 years, I think that does help it a lot. That description does. I'm again gonna go 375 as a cast because I think they've got something pretty good here. But this is, remember, a distillery that's still fairly young, so there is still room for improvement. This isn't like a tried and true formula just yet. They can still play with this a little bit. And the fun thing about this is we know how damn impressive their store pick bourbons with even higher proofs and more caramel can be. So this is a company that's definitely still got some improvement, and this is a really good start for a product like this. So yeah, I'm gonna stay with 375 on this
for a cast strength 375. I'm gonna go back up to 4.
Hey,
it's only 6 year, and this is more complex than their actual bourbon. I don't know what else I have to say.
I can't disagree with that.
Oh,
so
no, after you finish,
yeah,
my nose.
It is really nice.
It's nice.
As where are we? Okay, so shelving. I'm gonna say this is easily a middle shelf for me. I would put the store picks above it for sure. So I'm gonna say middle shelf.
I agree, middle shelf, but it's a sleeper. This is one of those middle shelf surprisers that, like, especially we got the sample size bottle, so this would be one of those fun ones when somebody's like wanting something on your top shelf and you're not sure you want to give it to them. You'd be like, try this first and see if they can taste the complexities in there, and then do the dab of water, have some fun with it, and then if they were like stoked and excited, now they graduated to top shelf. I think this is a qualifier whiskey to get to your top shelf. This is fucking great because it's going to blow their mind on bourbon versus whiskey, and it doesn't always have to be bourbon.
I like that. That's a great way to put it. Now, the secret 5th question. When your sample size is finished, has this sampler convinced you to buy a full 750 milliliter bottle?
I believe the cost is $50. Would I pay?
I believe you're right.
$50 for a 750 of this? Yes. In a heartbeat, I would. As soon as I see this, I'm buying a 750.
Yeah, I think I would too. This is just one of those really interesting. And there's nothing else like this that I can think of off the top of my head on my shelf. Like I had glimpses of other whiskeys, but nothing that 100% compares to this. And I like to have a variety, and this is definitely one that kind of stands on its own. So yeah, I think I would pick up a bottle of this for sure.
And I think it stacks up to a lot of bourbons, and people might select this over a lot of popular name bourbons.
True. You could put this in a blind flight, and I think it would hold its own in a flight of bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a fan. Heaven's Door, you've done it again, and you're not even
done it again.
So we salute you, Heaven's Door, and we will be back one more time at least for the rye. So join us next time on the K.O.E. Nation for a Heaven's Door review of their rye whiskey. Phil, take it away.
See if it just smooths itself out. Get back, tell you what I'll do. If I ever get back, I promise to refabricate you, raging rivers of gold. That's what the brochure advertised. And now we're lost, we gotta take it down. Let you down slow, it's hard to survive.
Nice.
El Dorado. Oh, Lord. Well, let's see how that one went.
Yeah.